Kristen, the Cross Stitching Runner, and welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a bit of life stuff thrown in. And if by chance you also happen to like what you see here with this channel and you haven't subscribed yet and you haven't hit the like button yet, I definitely recommend that you click on both, and especially when you go to subscribe, click on that bell notification just so you know that, or so you can be reassured that when I next release an episode, you'll be notified and all will be awesome. So this particular episode is wrapping up the spooky spring stitching that I've done for October, and this is the first year that I've made a conscious effort to work on projects that I think have a bit of a Halloween theme. And also this month has shown that I really should just focus on the spooky thing rather than just having spring and spooky. I've also learned with this particular way of selecting projects that the special with the decision maker wheel spin app, I don't know what the name is and I should know, that the slice when the project is selected, that it is then hidden once it's been selected, and that may mean that I don't get the projects come up multiple times, at least for the spring ones. Maybe I should have a separate wheel for that one. That's just my thoughts and ramblings, but let's get into the stitching and see what projects did come up over the last few days. One last little bit before I kick into the stitching. Today is Friday, the 3rd of November. The importance of me mentioning that it's the 3rd of November is that it really is well and truly past the spooky stitching of October, and the 3rd of November is an important date to note for the end of this episode, for a little bit of live stuff that's going to be happening. Okay, now for the stitching. On Sunday, the 22nd of October, when we last caught up, I spun the Decision Wheel app, and it came up with Dewdrop Daisy. And since we finished the spooky stitching, and I guess over the last couple of days at least, I've really put an emphasis on stitching Dewdrop Daisy. This is a hot cross stitching design, and this is where I'm at so far. The Dewdrop Daisy is available on my website, hotcrossstitching.com.au. I'll put the links for the details of the website and my Etsy store by the same name in the description box below. Please note, it is really early in the morning for me. You guys are the first people that I have had proper full-blown sentences with this morning, noting that it is about, give or take, 10 to 7 in the morning. I am a fisherman's widow, so to speak. I'll get into that a little bit as part of my talking with stitching and plans. But again, this is Dewdrop Daisy, and I'm probably still in the 70s as far as percentage is concerned for completion. That said, I am stitching this using DMC threads 2/2 on about 28 count fabric. And if you've been with me for a while and you've been regularly watching this channel, you'll have seen the progress of Dewdrop Daisy, and famous words for stitching, and I totally appreciate, I've been mentioning this almost every time I work on Dewdrop, that last calculations have shown that I've got under 15,000 stitches to go for that piece, and I have no doubt that I'll be working on that project next year, and if all goes well, I will have a finish for that next year at some point, and that will be really, really exciting. And it's early days for thinking about how I'll celebrate and share that celebration with you. Hopefully, it could mean some kind of competition, draw, win. I don't know. I'm just putting feelers and ideas out there at the moment, and I know I have already finished a few hot cross stitching charts. I've stitched them up, and they've actually turned out pretty well. Like I don't have it with me. I've got a few of those little wattle biscornus, and they're super cute. And if you've watched a few episodes ago, I did finish the pink bottle brush mini that was stitched on 14 count black Ada. It came up beautifully. I had been umming and ahhing about doing some back stitching on it, but it hasn't needed it, not by a long shot at all. So that has been pretty cool. So the Dewdrop Daisy is a significant finish because it's a smidgen over 60,500 stitches. So that's one of the bigger pieces for Dewdrop and hot cross stitching especially. So that's it. Speaking of hot cross stitching and my ramblings of that, the 23rd of October, let's see what came up for it for that day. So on the 23rd of October, I was able to spin I Count My Lucky Stars. So this again is a hot cross stitching design that is available on my Etsy store and my hot cross stitching website. Details are in the description box below if you are interested in stitching this chart. And the aim with this chart is, yes, it's monochrome, but the fact that the aim of it, sorry, not the fact, the aim is you can use whatever colors you want. That's my aim with that chart. And I have a heap of specialty threads in my stash, or even just regular DMC threads in my stash that I haven't used yet or have used very little of. And I have always been looking for some charts that I can use on or use my threads for on those charts. And that is part of the inspiration for I Count My Lucky Stars. It's also a phrase that it's almost like a mantra to help me show appreciation for the people and things around me and in my life. So that's a bit of the inspiration and backstory for I Count My Lucky Stars, and this is where I'm at. I've almost finished the quote and it is looking really, really good. The threads that I'm using is a variegation thread. It's a silk. It's called Tequila Sunrise, and by memory, I don't have the threads with me just at the moment. It's threads by Caron, Caron. I think it's watercolors, water lilies, or something along those lines. But I think at least if you do a search by Tequila Sunrise, you'll most likely get a recipe or pictures for the actual cocktail of Tequila Sunrise. But as long as you're hopefully specifying that it's embroidery thread or something similar, I hope that you have it come up in your search results. So ultimately, I finished up the words are in my. You can see I've started the word life. So we'll wait and see when I next work on this piece. The interesting thing will be when I do the border. Depending on how things go for when I finish the word life, I might just do that. I might just finish the word life, frame it up, and hey, I happen to have a spare bit of fabric, and I could even stitch up the actual border as well. So many thoughts and decisions to be made on this one. So many thoughts. It would be good to actually get the frame, stitching the border to go around it. Challenges, thoughts and ideas. Okay, let's get on to the 24th of October and what came up for that. So, for the 24th, 25th, and 28th of October, His Master's Voice Mini came up. It is a chart by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Lisa Parker, and this is the cover picture for how it's going to turn out. How awesome is it? I'm also a fan of Lisa Parker's artwork, and this is where we are at for His Master's Voice Mini. And I focused, as we can see, a fair bit with the black, and I've started doing tent stitch for the black where it is just going to be pages of black, and it is 2 strands over 1 fabric square, and I'm really not happy with the coverage that I'm getting, even with the 2 strands doing tent stitch on this fabric. And I'm also acknowledging that it could be the way that I'm doing the stitches as well for why the fabric is showing through. And it's also my choice of the fabric. So with those combined, that's why I'm getting the results we're seeing here. And I need to just accept it for what it is and enjoy the process, enjoy the stitching, because that's why I do this stitching, to enjoy the process and enjoy seeing the pictures come to life. So with the stitching that I've done over the 3 days that this piece came up, I'm estimating 1,500 stitches, might be pushing it into the 2,000 realm. It's come up pretty good. I think as long as I don't focus on the border, and perhaps even if it ends up being that bit of the fabric showing through, it may help to draw attention to the actual center of the piece though. I'll have to wait and see, play around, and hopefully you enjoy the journey that I go on with this piece as well, with doing this combo of 10 stitch full cross, however many strands of TMC that go in with it. It'll be a fun journey, and I hope you stick with me for it. Okay, so now that we've done His Master's Voice for the 24th, 25th, and 28th of October, let's see what came up for the 26th and 27th of October. For the 26th of October, I got to work on a Tilton Crafts chart, one that I've had in my collection for a while. But the good thing is, it is only a semi-new start for the month of October, or it's a new start for October. And this is Halloween treats too. And I've started in the center of the chart. So where we see the calendar page kind of image, icon, whatever it's meant to be, the number 31, that's where I've started. So a little bit of where we see, I guess, the top of that calendar week is a rip off the page. That's where I've started. And I'm using all of the called for colours. I think I'm using 28 count fabric. It's fabric I've had in my stash for a while. And this is where I'm at. So I'm using 2 strands over 1 fabric square, and I'm really enjoying the coverage that's coming up with this. And I guess with the yellows and oranges and that sort of markings, it makes me think a little bit of cheesecake, and it's making me hungry because I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm liking how it's going, and I hope I get to work on this a bit more, maybe just for the month of October next year. We'll wait and see. So I feel like I should have gotten more done on that piece than I have. I've spent a lot of time scrolling on the tablet and internet to do with real estate stuff. So my head has been getting just a little bit full. It has been nice working on other projects though, and just taking a couple of steps back from real estate. Anyway, that is a bit of a tangent. Let's get on to the 27th of October to see what I worked on. Of October 27th? Yes, 27th. Okay, I've got notes and I really should be keeping track. I got to start doing some more work on Trick or Treats 2. Yeah, Trick or Treat 2. It's another Heaven and Earth design based on the artwork by Randall Spangler, and I just love that chart. I really do. I think it is just so awesome, so cool. And the slightly different thing that I'm doing for this piece is stitching it on 18 count Ada. This thing's going to look huge, but we'll wait and see how things go. So this is where I'm at, and it is stiff Ada. It has been sitting in a slightly funky way. I haven't filled in the ghost yet. I think it's because I'm needing some specialty thread for that, but I'll get there. So I've been focusing a fair bit on the blues. So it is DMC's 931, 930, and 932, and a few variations of that. And I'm really looking forward to getting down here a lot more, getting into the roof, and I think I probably, based on what I'm seeing of the cover page, I think it might be just a little bit of the roof, and it's then the next page when I get onto the moon and seeing the witch flying across the moon on her broomstick. And I'm really looking forward to getting down to where the actual house is. And as I keep looking at that cover picture, I could end up regretting those words and saying, oh, I wish I was working on the sky again. I'll have to wait and see on that. So it has been nice slowly chipping away at the sky and seeing how the colours are playing around on that. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm not sure if I can say much more on that. I am really enjoying working on that piece, and I do look forward to October coming around again and being able to work on that piece. And it might even be a case where if I just have that itch, that urge to work on the piece again, it may just be a case of to the plans and just working on why when I can speak. Sweetie. I haven't heard anyone in our Flosstube community using that word for a while, or that acronym for a while. Stitching what I want when I want. That I think it might have been, people's names are escaping me right now. I can picture the intro to her Flosstube. It'll come to me later. Anyway, let's get on to the stitching again. And because we talked about his master's voice for the 28th of October back when it was the 24th, we're going to jump forward to the 29th of October. I'm feeling a little bit like a fool. I should be looking at my notes just a little bit closer and not being so hard on myself for not getting as much work done on not trick or treat, on Halloween treats too. Tilton Crafts, which is one that I had started working on the 26th of October. It was a new flipping start. So no wonder I hadn't gotten much done, because I also did a little bit of work on Halloween treats too on the 29th of October. And that is when I hadn't done much stitching, because I was spending a bit of time on my tablet looking at real estate, like quick life thing. So I'm just looking at real estate options at the moment in terms of potentially purchasing, I guess, our second home here in Wollongong. And I am one of those people who deep dives into a project or something that really interests me. I will do a bit of a deep dive into it where I'll set aside everything else that I'm working on. Like life, I'll still do life stuff and do things, work and that, but I'll be distracted by the thoughts of, in this case, looking at property options and thinking about it a bit. And when I do have my spare time, when I'm not needing to be or required to be working on my professional job, then I'm going to be on the internet looking at, in this case, property options, or if it's a cross stitch piece that I am just obsessed with, I will be working on that as much as I practically can. So, just a little bit of an insight to my headspace and a little bit of life stuff that was going on, and an explanation for why I really haven't gotten as much done as what I probably could have done for Halloween treats too. So, thankfully, Halloween treats did not come up anymore during my spends for October, and I think we are now at the stage of this next chart that I've been working on just a little bit for the month of October is the reason why I was talking about Halloween treats too and not wanting to work on the background border when I get to that stage, because Love Ocean was another new start for the month of October, and this is what it looks like. And I've started in the top left corner for this piece, so it's going to take a few thousand stitches for me to actually start seeing some of the really cool and exciting parts of this chart and what it actually attracted me to the chart. And okay, so I'll just bring up what I have actually stitched. And this is where I'm at. I'm using the same type of fabric as I am for Halloween treats too. And the colors at the moment are blending in really well with the fabric. And in this case, I'm stitching this 1/1 using the called for colors. And I'm still enjoying the coverage that I'm getting with one strand for this. It's a learning curve. Similar to what I've been mentioning, it's seems to be the theme for this episode of learning from our mistakes, learning by stitching, learning by doing. And it's going to get there. It's just going to take a few more thousand stitches to get there. It is nice. The good thing though with Love Ocean is I'm hoping to continue stitching it into summer, a little bit of spring, but definitely incorporating it into my summer stitching. And it'll be hopefully it will hopefully mean that I get a lot more done and we actually get to start seeing the really fun bit of that chart. So, with that in mind, let's get in to the last day of the spooky spring stitching. Finally, the last day of spooky spring stitching. So, spooky spring stitching meant that I got to do a little bit more work on a heaven and earth design called Shrooms. And I'm just going to bring up Shrooms. And it's artwork by John Shannon. Again, a project kit, not kit, a chart that I've had in my stash for a little while. And I keep eyeing it off, and I love the colors in this piece. And with running with the theme that we've had for this episode of learning by doing, I made a conscious effort of starting this piece on 28 count even weave and starting in the center. So that means that I might not actually stitch as much of the black as what's charted in this piece. I'll have to wait and see. The point though is that I started in the center where the fun bits are. And this is, I guess, where the top of one of the mushrooms are, and the white is a little bit of that sort of underbit or underbelly of one of the mushrooms, and it'll feed into, I guess, the stalk of that mushroom. And I guess I'm using a little bit of parking method, so that's why we've got our needle minder here. It was a birthday gift from my sister from a few years ago, and that needle minder is just doing a great job of keeping the threads out of the way. And I'm stitching this doing 1/1 using all the cord 4 colours, and I'm just loving how the stitches are really popping on this black, and I'm loving just how nice and neat these stitches are as well. I think it's just doing an awesome job, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work on this piece as time allows. So with that in mind, we are now at the end of the spooky stitching, and I've just got like a little bit of life stuff to kick in. Earlier in this episode, I mentioned the date today being the 3rd of November, and that it was semi-significant because of some live stuff that's going to be happening. So today's Friday, and I don't often film on Fridays, and the main reason I'm filming today is due to the fact that I'll be running in the 5-kilometre event of the Canberra Times Fun Run, and I was looking back through my phone for some details about when I last ran that fun run, and I guess the time that I'd done for that course, just as a curiosity. And I think the searches I was doing were showing that it was the 2019 was the last time that fun run happened. To me, that doesn't make sense because the organisers, they've also done similar events around a specific area of Canberra where this event on Sunday is happening. And it happened last year. We definitely did a similar event around April this year, and it was done last year as well. COVID, I think, has really mucked around details of when we've done things, and trying to remember how long ago certain things happened because of lockdown and that kind of joy. That said, it's going to be interesting to do that run because the weather will be a little bit cooler. I know that up here at Wollongong it's going to be a wet weekend. We've already had a little bit of rain overnight, and it's going to be very wet here Saturday and Sunday. So I'll be driving down tomorrow to Canberra to do the run Sunday, then doing a very early start to the day on Monday morning to drive back up here for work. And that'll be cool though. It will be okay. The reason why we're coming back up on the Monday also is Sunday, my boyfriend's parents are going to be heading out to do some international travelling, and best of luck to them. I hope it all works out well. That said, that's my bit of life stuff, and now that we're in the month of November as well, I have a few ideas and thoughts of stitching and what I'm going to be doing for November. So in a couple of weeks' time, I'll hopefully be a little bit more organised for that kind of stitching and what my aims will be for the rest of November. Until next time, I'll catch you later and happy stitching.